Back in 2016, I had my landscaping company carry a 500-pound boulder up 3 flights of stairs into my Perth Blue Wings hockey team locker room. A 500-pound boulder. And I had the guys take this boulder and put it dead center in the middle of the room so that all 23 players who would be sitting in the locker room would stare at this boulder day after day, week after week, month after month. And then when training camp arrived, I had all of the athletes that were going to be on our team come up into the locker room, and they sat in their individual stalls. The coaches were there, the athletic trainers were there, and the 23 team players, all the athletes were there. And I told them the story, the old stonecutter's tale. And the old stonecutter's tale goes like this. No matter what you're doing in your life, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a construction worker, whether you're a butcher or a candlestick maker, a consultant, a math teacher, it really doesn't matter what you do for a living. But if each and every day that you get up, you have a mentality of pound the rock, it's going to make all the difference in your world. And the stonecutter's tale is about the power of just chipping away at the important. Chipping away at the important. The 2 or 3 things a day that you need to do to become the best version of yourself and to move the needle in your life and to build the world of your dreams. The 1 or 2 or 3 things that you need to do in pounding the rock is chipping away at those. So I had one of those massive pickaxe in my hand, and I wanted them to have that image, the players and the staff to have that image in their head. And I hit the stone with the pickaxe. And then I hit the stone again with the pickaxe. And then I hammered the stone again with the pickaxe. And I hammered the rock probably 5, 6, 7 times. And then I set the pickaxe down, and I said, that's what it's going to take to have an opportunity to win a Barclay Cup. That's what it's going to take to have an opportunity to have any chance at all of putting a championship ring on your finger. We're going to have to pound the rock every day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, every year, all through the year. It's going to be a 9 to 10 month journey, but all our focus, our entire focus, to give ourselves the best chance to win. Our theme this season is pound the rock. Be relentless and pound the rock. For the first time, we weren't going to focus anymore on winning the Barclay Cup. We weren't going to focus on winning the Super Bowl. We weren't going to focus on winning an NBA title. We weren't going to focus on the championship. In other words, we were not going to focus any longer on the outcome. We knew the outcome. We knew what we wanted. We wanted to lift a Barclay Cup. We knew that. But the secret was not focusing on the outcome. The secret was pounding the rock every single day, getting to work and pounding the rock. And the stonecutter tale says it perfectly. You can hit that stone 100 times. You can hit that rock 500 times. You can strike that stone 1,000 times. And this is the thing about life. You can hit that stone 1,000, you can hit that stone 10,000 times. And it seems like you're hardly making even a dent into the stone. You're hardly making any impact whatsoever. And then that's where most people stop. That's where most people quit. Right before there's going to be a breakthrough. That's where most people quit eating clean, or quit walking, or quit marketing, or quit reading, or quit working on their marriage, or whatever it is. They're right there, and they're pounding the rock every day, and they hit it 10,000th time. And you know, the stone doesn't change, nothing seems to be happening. And then you hit the stone, you pound the rock that 1,001st time, and the stone cracks wide open. That's the stone cutter's tale. You pound that rock 1,000 times, day after day, week after week, month after month, and you hit it that 1,000th time, and there's no difference. And you're frustrated, and you're angry, and you're all these different emotions, and you feel like stopping, and you feel like quitting. But if you hit it that 1,001 time, boom, the rock cracks wide open. You know, you just chip away, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away. You don't even seem to be progressing. And then boom, the stone cracks wide open. That's pounding the rock in life. That's pounding the rock in business. When I get up in the morning, 75% of the time, I look at my shoes and I'm like, I don't want to put these on. I don't want to walk in the dark. I want to go back to bed. But I have that rule, pound the rock. One of my Michael McLean badass rules is pound the rock. I wrote about it in my book, How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in Business and Life. If you don't have a copy, fix that problem by going to nobullbook.com and ordering your copy and free t-shirt today. nobullbook.com. But that's one of the 25 rules in my book that I talk about, is pound the rock. That's the mentality you need to build the world of your dreams. When I get up early, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I splash water on my face and brush my teeth and say my prayers, and I drink a couple of glasses of water, and then it's time to do the road work, right? I look at I'm wearing this 25-pound rucking vest, which is massive, by the way, for improving your posture. This 25-pound rucking vest that I bought on Amazon, it has corrected my posture. It has eliminated my lower back pain, my upper back pain. It's improved my posture. It's driving my spine to be straight. This 25-pound rucking vest is doing the exact opposite of what technology is doing. So we all have tech's neck, where your posture is brutal, and you're always leaning over. You're working on a laptop, you're working on a computer, you're always staring at your phone. Well, the big thing with all of that is that you need something to counter correct. And that's what these rucking vests do. Plus, they make your walk harder. Anything harder is better. Anything difficult is better. So when I look at my shoes and I put on my rucking vest, a lot of the time I don't want to go. But I have that non-negotiable rule, and it's a mindset. Pound the rock, Michael. Pound the rock. Go out there and walk for 10 minutes. You can do that. You can do that, Michael. You can walk for 10 minutes in the cold. You can walk for 10 minutes in the rain. You can walk for 10 minutes in the snow. Get your shoes on, put on your rucking vest, and get out there and walk 10 minutes. You can walk 10 minutes. Pound the rock for 10 minutes. And then every day, there's been never an exception, I get that first 10 minutes in, and all of a sudden, all the feel good stuff happens, and I feel like $1 million after 10 minutes. I'm starting to get a sweat, my heart and lungs. I'm outside in nature. I've got fresh air. I feel like $1 million, so I'm not going to stop for anything. But I say to myself, pound the rock for 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes. And before I know it, I've shot a video on this broken iPhone, and then I pound the rock for another 20, 25 minutes, and I've got in my 15,000 steps. 15,000 steps to me, every morning first thing, my road work, my walking, is pounding the rock 15,000 times. That to me is, if I pound the rock 15,000 times a day, that's going to help, me protect my number one wealth, which is my health. If we don't have our health, we don't have anything. Health is more important than money. Health is even more important than time. You can have all the time in the world, but if you don't have vitality, if you don't have energy, if you don't have your mental health, then who the hell wants more time? Health is your number one wealth. So I look at it, pound the rock, Michael, 15,000 steps. So when you get up, you set a rule for yourself. You make it a principle. It's a rule that you live by. I'm going to pound the rock 5,000 steps every day. I'm going to pound that rock 5,000 steps a day, walk for half an hour, 40 minutes. Or you might say to yourself, I'm going to get 10,000 steps in every morning. So pound the rock 10,000 steps. And you can apply this to anything you want to happen in your life. But I don't believe in goal setting. I don't believe in outcome goals. I don't believe in focusing on losing weight. I don't believe in focusing on stopping smoking. I don't believe in focusing on, spending less time on your cell phone. I don't believe in focusing on winning a championship or making $1 million. That's not how champions operate. If you listen to any of the great coaches, whether it's, Nick Saban or Bill Belichick or John Cooper, the Tampa Bay hockey coach, any of these guys, and the same word keeps coming up: trust the process. Trust the process. Well, the process is just another way of saying pound the rock. Saban has his athletes pound the rock for 12 months. Pound the rock. Forget about the scoreboard. Forget about the heat. Forget about who we're playing. Forget about the crowd. Forget about the rat poison media. Forget about all of it and focus on becoming the best football player that you can be. Focus on executing your job to the best ability, to the best of your ability. And, if 65 guys take on that mindset of trusting the process and focusing on pounding the rock, then the scoreboard always, good morning, the scoreboard always takes care of itself. And then you don't have the pressure of, we need to win a national title. Like, that's going to be there anyway. But when you pound the rock, it gives you a totally different perspective. You're eating that elephant one bite at a time. You're eating that elephant one bite at a time. And that's so different than having these massive goals. I have to lose 40 pounds, Michael. I have to lose 50 pounds. I'm like, okay, what are the 2 or 3 things you need to lose that weight? Well, I've got to eat high protein, clean foods, okay? I have to walk for at least 45 minutes a day, okay? And I need to drink a gallon of water a day. Okay, there's 3 things. There's your pound the rock. Okay, we know you want to lose 40 pounds. That's fine. You can put that up somewhere where you can read that every day. But after that, the focus is on the process. It's never on the outcome. It's on, okay, I have to do this for the rest of my life. I need to do this every day for the rest of my life. I need to drink a gallon of water. I need to walk 10,000 steps, and I need to buy high protein, clean foods. And then you break it down literally into chipping away at that stone every day. You put that, you visualize yourself with that pickaxe in your hand. And today I'm going to do those 3 things: chip, 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 chip away. And then you look up and you got 7 days under your belt. And then you look up and you got 14 days under your belt. And then you keep chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. You got a month under your belt. All of a sudden you've lost 6, 7 pounds. And then you chip away, chip away, chip away. There is no finish line. This is lifestyle now. This is lifestyle at 45 days. Pounding the rock, pounding the rock, pounding the rock. After 2 months, all of a sudden you've lost 10 pounds. Wow, I'm feeling great, Michael. I feel a decade younger. Keep chipping away, chip away, pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock. After a year, that 40 pounds is gone. And you feel like $1 million. And every day you get up and you drink water, you put in your 10,000 steps, and you eat clean. All of a sudden, you're just chipping away, pounding the rock. It didn't seem like you were achieving much. You're only losing a pound, maybe a week, maybe 2 pounds. And then sometimes you put on weight because of water. And that can be discouraging. Fuck that. Pound the rock. Fuck your emotions. Pound the rock. You're not a little bitch. Pound the rock. And then all of a sudden you do lose 3 pounds, and then 4 pounds. And then you're down 6 pounds, and then all of a sudden you're down 2. See, the rock, you finally hit that rock and it splits open. Wow, I'm down 10 pounds. I can do this every day. I can't do 365 days, but I can do 1 day. I can pound the rock. Ed Millett says that I can do there's nothing you can't do for 1 more day. Man, I can't do this for a week. No, you can't, but you can do it for 1 more day. Man, I can't stop smoking for a month or a year. I can't stop smoking. No, you can't, but you can stop smoking for 1 day. Wow, man, I can't copyright for half an hour. I just haven't been able to do it. No, you can't, but you can sit your ass down and write for 1 day. You can pound the rock for 1 day. And then after that, get ready to pound the rock a second day. You can do a second day. You can do a second day. Chip away, chip away, chip away. 10,000 times. That's how winning is done. That's how winning is done. The great coaches never talk about the Super Bowl. They never talk about the World Series. They never talk about national championships. Ever. They talk about pounding the rock. I got to get in the gym. I got to eat clean. I got to read books. I got to stay away from rat poison, TV, movies, toxic people. Pound the rock. To give full credit where full credit is due, I got this idea from my friend, Dwayne Casey, when he was the head coach of the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. And it's an amazing story because Dwayne came to speak at my Toronto closed door mastermind. This is going back 10 years now. And I literally contacted the Raptors. I didn't know Casey at the time. And I said, would Coach Casey come and speak to my group of insurance professionals? We're at the Westin Hotel. I'm putting on a 2-day closed door mastermind. Would he speak? If you don't ask, the answer is always no, right? He's the head coach of the Raptors. Well, lo and behold, talk about character and integrity. He gets back to me and they get back to me and they said, Coach Casey would be happy to speak to your group. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on this guy. You know, Coach Casey, you know what his request was? He said he'd be happy to do it. The only thing he'd like me to consider is making a donation to the Toronto Children's Hospital as thanks for his time. That's it. He asked for nothing. And he's a busy guy. This is during the season, his first season in Toronto. Like, he's up to his ass in alligators. He's up to his ass in alligators trying to turn the most dysfunctional NBA championship, a team, into a championship team. And he takes the time to come over and speak to our group And what did he talk about? He talked about the theme for the Raptors being pound the rock. Pound the rock. And he talked about taking over the Raptors. Like Casey the year before was the assistant coach of the Dallas Mavericks. So he worked for Mark Cuban. He worked for Shark Tank Mark Cuban for 5 years as the assistant coach, and they won the NBA championship. So because he was the first assistant, he was a very sought after head coach, and Toronto somehow talked him in to, coming to Toronto to take over the worst franchise in NBA. And Casey came here, and the first thing he did was put that big 500-pound stone in the middle of the Raptors locker room. And this is a team, a franchise that knew nothing but losing. And he did exactly what I emulated, where the theme for that first season in Toronto was pound the rock. Forget about trying to make the playoffs. Forget about we're building a championship. Forget about all that horse shit. And just come to work. Have a stonecutter's mentality, he said. He wanted his players to have a stonecutter's mentality. You have the greatest job in the world. You get paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game. But come to the stadium, come to the arena, come to the weight room, and have a stonecutter's mentality. Doesn't matter if you're a ditch digger, doesn't matter if you're a contractor, doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or an insurance agent. Have that chip away, pound the rock mentality. Get up and pound the rock, get up and pound the rock. So, when you look at Coach Casey, he coached in Toronto. I think he was there 8 years. My math might be wrong, doesn't matter. And he literally turned that team from the outhouse to the penthouse. And Casey got a raw deal because just the year before the Raptors in 2019, the year before they won the NBA title, the Raptors won the NBA title over Golden State in 2019. Same year that we won the Barclay Cup in hockey. And Casey got fired before that season. And his assistant, Nick Nurse, took over. So they added a whole bunch of players, right, that season. Kawhi, Danny, a few other guys that had won championships before. And then Nick Nurse leads the Raptors to the championship in his first season. So interesting how life works. But the foundation was built by Dwayne Casey. The foundation was built what he saw working for Mark Cuban in Dallas. He said everything in Toronto screamed mediocrity. You talk about the importance, I talk about the importance of environments for champions and willpowers for chumps. If you're using willpower to pound the rock, then you're not serious. You're just not serious about winning. Willpowers for chumps. So Casey talked about what he found in Toronto when he signed his contract there. He said, Michael, everything is the fucking cheapest. He said, here in Toronto, everything's shortcuts, everything's magic pills, everything is the cheapest and bargains. He said, here you are, you're running a $1 billion franchise. And he says the towels that the guys use in the locker room after their showers, he says they're shit. He says the dressing room, everything, the seats, the flights, the meals, everything screams losing. So you have no idea when a guy takes over a program, when a Bill Parcells took over the Jets or a Bill Belichick took over New England or any of these turnaround kings. They just have to start with the most incredible things, like literally the pens and pencils in the office. Like they come from a winning program and they're just like, holy shit. Saban arrived in Alabama, they hadn't won squat. They were under investigation, they had sanctions, they hadn't won squat. And for the first few seasons there, Saban didn't win anything. He was focused on the pounding the rock. He wasn't focused on competing for a national title in the first few seasons. the team was too far gone. He had to fix the culture. He had to fix the environment. Well, Dwayne Casey was the same thing. He goes, Michael, until I fix the environment, till I fix the front office, the way we answer the phones, he says, I even have to fix the fans' mentality. Like, he would speak to the media, and you see Saban do this all the time, and Belichick, they when they're interviewed, they're speaking to the fans sometimes. When they're interviewed, they're speaking to their players sometimes. These coaches are master influencers. They're master teachers, and they actually use the rat poison media to speak to the fan base, to speak to their players through the media. You hear it all the time, you know? So it was an incredible story he told me and shared with our mastermind men. Man, oh man, outhouse to the penthouse. And he got them within one season. And then that fucker, Nick Nurse, who I have no respect for, probably stabbed him in the back, right? The assistant takes over. Dwayne's too hard on the players. Dwayne's too old school. Dwayne's too defensive. You can't win like that. You need to play offense. You need to relate to the players. Yeah. And Kawhi Leonard doesn't hurt either. Okay, that's like adding a Mark Messier to your team. That's like adding a Sidney Crosby to your team. That's like adding, that's like adding a Tom Brady to be your quarterback for a season. Like, it just, that annoyed me to no end, but that's a video for another day. Winners aren't losers, and losers aren't winners. Look at the Raptors now without Kawhi. Look at the Raptors under the whiz kid Nick Nurse now. Every year there's been a decline. They were competitive after the year they won it, very competitive for a couple of years. All of a sudden, they don't have the players anymore. They don't have Kawhi, they don't have Danny, they don't have the players anymore. And all of a sudden the whiz kid Nick Nurse isn't such a whiz kid. And now they're not even a playoff team this year. That's sad for a city that prides itself and supports the team like Toronto supports the Raptors. Nonetheless, pound the rock. Pound the rock. Getting up and walking is pounding the rock. Getting up and reading 10 pages of a real book a day is pounding the rock. Putting on your rucking vest is pounding the rock. Winning your morning is pounding the rock. I'm not going to touch my phone for the first 2 hours. I've got it locked away. That's pounding the rock. That's pounding the rock. Michael, I'm going to work on the marketing of my business an hour a day. I'm going to work on, creating, writing emails and creating things that are going to bring my business money. That's pounding the rock. Sit down every day, put your hands on the keys and pound the rock. You know what? It's in today's world with all this stuff, you're going to separate yourself, and it's going to make such a difference because this is pound the rock is delayed gratification. So the younger generations, they don't know what that is, right? If they don't have it now, then they quit. That's the cupcake. That's the cupcakes that we have now. Man, if I don't have instantly, I need the instant house. I need the instant car. I need the instant freedom. I need the instant perfect job. They're not willing to pound the rock. I'm teaching my 10-year-old every day, and math is a big thing. Tennis is a big thing. Chess is a great teacher. Cursive writing, every day she has a strict schedule for her homeschooling. And I'm just like, pound the rock, pound the rock. I don't talk about college or university. I don't even talk about her running her own business later. I mention it from time to time, but most of my time, 95% of my communication with Emery is pound the rock communication. Okay, let's do 3 pages of math. Let's do a page of cursive this morning with cursive for breakfast, math for lunch, and just pound the rock, pound the rock. And her math coach, Sir Dan, said the other day that 3 weeks ago she couldn't do 3 multiples. In other words, she couldn't add 3 and subtract 3 all the way to 300 and all the way back down. And here we are 4 weeks later, and she's doing 17, 18s, and 19s, where she adds them all the way to 400 verbally and writing them down, and then she does them all the way back. You imagine, can you do that? 17 plus 17 plus 17 plus 17 all the way to 300 or 400. And then when you get to 300 or 400, you come back down, minus 17, minus 17, minus 17. She does those as warm-ups every day. He has math practice warm-ups. He's a math coach. He's not a math teacher, he's a math coach. And everything he does, there's no such thing as homework. It's math practice. He's getting her to practice pounding the rock every day, 2 hours with him at the kitchen table, 3 days a week, and then pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock. He makes her go back and do her 2s and her 3s and her 5s and her 7s. And they start up, he calls it math warm-up, where the fundamentals, he does adding, he does subtracting, he does division of the stuff that she can easily do in her own, like no problem, but he focuses, good morning, on the fundamentals. And that's the warm-up. And then just like a hockey practice, like a baseball practice. And then what does he work on? Something new and challenging. And then after that, he gives her 2 to 3 hours of homework. Great coaches, great teachers give hours of homework. And then that's where the retention comes. He teaches her something, and then she has to sit down and pound the rock for 3 hours. Okay, I'm doing 19s today. 19 plus 19 plus 19 plus 19. It's hard. It's difficult. It's frustrating. There's tears. She doesn't think she can do it. Boom, she can do it. That builds self-esteem. That builds self-image. And I say to her all the time, you didn't think you could do 3s. You didn't think you could do 5s. You didn't think you could do 10s. And now you can do 19s? She's like, yeah. I go, man, there's nothing you can't do. Once again, building self-esteem, right? Building self-esteem in people. Pushing them out of their comfort zone. Demanding that they be more. And then when they become more, they're like, wow, I didn't even think I could do it. That's what pounding the rock does, pounding the rock. The Raptors were a playoff team, I believe, in Casey's 3rd season, which is incredible, incredible. I'll finish up with one great Dwayne Casey story. He was talking to me after. I love talking to coaches after, right? Because I coach pro hockey, so I know what goes on. And it's like fucking babysitting. You're babysitting multi-millionaires, right? Well, I'm really tired today, coach. What time did you go to bed? Oh, 3 in the morning. Really? Okay. Yeah, I'm really not focused. I'm making lots of mental mistakes and taking all kinds of penalties. So tell me, what do you do during the day when you're not at the arena? I play video games, 8 to 10 hours a day. Okay. That explains it. Yeah, I'm really dehydrated this morning. I found practice hard. I was out all night drinking. Gotcha. Yeah, I moved all my friends in from Compton. We all have a condo and we all live in this big house downtown. They're good guys. I grew up with them. in the projects in Brick City, and I brought them with me. It's probably not a problem, eh? Wow, just babysitting. I could tell you stories about NHL players, NBA players, Major League Baseball players that would curl your hair. Man, you see a coach making $5 million a year, $10 million a year at the pro level, like my friend Claude Julien, Boston Bruins Stanley Cup coach, Montreal Canadiens coach, Olympic gold medal. He earned every penny dealing with some of those guys. So pound the rock is critical to keep everybody focused. But Casey shared one thing when he was leaving, right? By the way, drove a half-ton truck to the Westin, 5-star Westin, right? In Toronto. It's where all the visiting pro teams stay, right? So it's really nice. And here comes Dwayne Casey, shows up in a half-ton truck. And I'm not talking about a brand new F-150 Ford like I drive. He shows up in this beat up truck. He's making like 5 or 10 million a year. He doesn't give a fuck. He's Dwayne Casey. He coaches the Pistons now, by the way. He'll rebuild that. And he gets out and he's just like, oh, he's early too, early. And he's telling me about his day and practice and all this stuff, and just this beat up half-ton truck. He tells me where he lives. He's like, yeah, Michael, I live in this $10 million home with my wife and kids. But he's just like blue collar mentality. Just the guys park. He comes up to valet at the hotel, and the valet guy is like, you want me to drive this thing? And he drives it away, and there's like smoke coming out of the back. He'd make any global warming tomato can cringe. Just a tremendous guy. And he goes, Michael, he goes, listen to this one. He said, we went to the game the next day, right? So we had a suite the next day. So we got to watch the Raptors play. They weren't a playoff team. So that was the final game the next day of the season. So that was the last game of his first year in Toronto. So I said to him before he spoke, good morning. I said to him after he spoke to our guys, I said, how'd practice go today? Because he came to speak to us after practice in the afternoon. And he goes, Michael, I made them see God. And I'm like, good man. I hear you, brother. And he said, because we're a losing team, because we're a non-playoff team, but mostly he said because we're full of first-year players, high draft picks, he said, I made today's practice, the last practice of the year, the hardest of the year. And I was like, impact, right? He goes, impact. He goes, I wanted them to remember this. He said, I don't give a shit whether we win tomorrow or lose. He says, I don't. He says, what was most important is that we pounded the rock today in practice like never before. He said, if we hit that rock 1,000 times on most days, he said, today I made sure they hit it 10,000 times. He said, guys were panicking. We were working so hard. Gassers, sprints, battle drills. It's like an NFL practice, like an NHL practice. And he said, I wanted to send a message for the off season, because after they play the next day, that's it, they're gone. He said, I wanted to send a message that things have changed in Toronto. I wanted to set a standard. I wanted to even tolerate less of the losing. I wanted to send a message that anything but excellence was no longer tolerated. And he said, I wanted to send a championship work ethic message. And how do you do that? By them practicing for 2 hours that day before a game day the next day, and just pounding the rock. He said, I had him in the weight room, and some of the players, admittedly were like, this is going to be fun, right? Last practice, we're not a playoff team. We're playing one more game and we're out of here. Not Dwayne Casey, man. He crushed those fuckers. And he made them sweat and battle and compete for 2 hours. And it was like that mentality, right? Of what you get, what you tolerate. So he would tolerate nothing as a coach but excellence. And this is how you build it. This is how you build it on that last day. Nobody would get that, eh? The media, nobody would get that. They wouldn't understand. They'd be like, what? Why was he such a bastard? Like, what was his problem? Why was he such a prick? And he's like setting the tone for the summer, setting the tone for the off season, setting the tone for next season. Because then he told me that day, he goes, our goal is to be a playoff team, to keep pounding the rock. He goes, I would like to be a playoff team in year 2. It took him to year 3, but just kept pounding that rock. And consequently, we went to the game the next day, had a beautiful suite, steak dinner, the whole thing up there, lots of whiskey, lots of laughs. And Toronto slaughtered the Celtics, who they were playing, another dismal team at the time. And I kept thinking about the practice before. Oh, aren't you going to wear them out? Aren't they going to be tired? And he just had them pounding the rock, setting a standard, not going to tolerate anything but excellence. And boom, slaughtered. The Celtics probably mailed it in, right? They're like, oh, we got one more game. We're not a playoff team. They probably didn't even practice the day before. Dwayne Casey. One last story I'll tell you. I'm supposed to keep these videos to an hour, right? Or sorry, to 15 minutes. What am I saying, an hour? Because, you know, people don't have any attention span, right? I said, yeah, but when yours relentless spins the tails, everybody has an attention span. At least elite men do. So I don't keep anything to 15 minutes. Actually, I don't talk a lot. You might be surprised. I don't say a lot. I'm a thinker. I'm a cerebral guy. But when I do my masterminds and my webinars and I do these daily videos, this is my therapy, right? This is my opportunity to serve other people like you. So when I listen for 22 hours a day, then I can serve that precious energy. And it's just, people are shocked. They're like, oh, you must talk. Like I work with Leanne at World Builders, the house. You know, we don't talk. Like, I mean, she'll ask me questions. We have a great relationship, but like, I'm not a talker. I'm a very introverted guy. And I save all this energy so that I have this energy for these videos, so that I have my passion and my obsession and my inspiration, so that I can pound the rock when it matters. And I can give that energy in webinars and trainings and masterminds. I do it by conserving. I'll go a whole day of just studying. I talk to Chris a little bit, I talk to Emery, but I'm not a talker at all. So Dwayne Casey, I'm supposed to keep these videos to 15 minutes, but I do the opposite of everything. Earl Nightingale, Uncle Earl has it best. Just look at what everybody's doing, do the opposite. So everybody's keeping their videos to 3 minutes, 7 minutes, but don't forget, they're going after the Zoomers, the tomato cans, the punch drunk people that can't focus, right? They're going after the cell phone junkie crowd. I'm going after the opposite. My guys read physical books, physical newsletters, physical telegrams. You know, my trainings, my mastermind trainings are over 2 hours. I demand that my guys focus for 2 hours because I want to help them rebuild their attention span. I want them to get better, not worse. I want them to stand out, not fit in. So with Dwayne Casey, he was just, he told me about Cuban, right? Like, I'm fascinated by that stuff. Whenever I get a chance to talk to a pro coach or even a famous entrepreneur, most people are like, can I have a selfie or something? I'm like, what the fuck? I've never asked anybody but Gordie Howe in my life when I was a little child for an autograph, ever. My mom said one time, this is a good story unto itself. We were heading to go see Gordie Howe. My dad was taking us to see Gordie Howe, the greatest hockey player at the time. We're just little kids, little boys. And we were gonna get a photo. And you know, at the time there was no phone cameras. And I'm gonna get Gordie Howe's autograph. Maybe Wayne Gretzky will be there. And my mom turned and looked at me. This is all you need to know about the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher McLean. She said, she goes, you're gonna ask for his autograph. She goes, McLeans don't ask for autographs. She goes, we give autographs. He goes, he should ask for your autograph. And I laughed, right? My dad laughed. She wasn't fucking kidding. That's the best part. She wasn't even kidding. She's like, he should ask for your autograph. You can't, that's the gift. That's the gift you can't put a price on. I've never, like, I've got pictures with George Foreman and Ric Flair. Any of those guys are fantastic, and I do it for marketing. Those turn into postcards. Those turn into flyers. But as far as I've been around pro athletes my whole life, I was in the Montreal Canadiens dressing room when I was 8 years old with my dad. I've been around celebrities. I've been around some movie guys. I've been around a lot of really famous people. And that's one of my other secrets that I talk about in the book is, like, don't put anybody on a pedestal. You'd be shocked if you met these people. You'd be shocked. You'd be like, really? He's a billionaire? Or really? He's a millionaire? Or really? She's a movie star? Like, oh yeah. Or really? She's like a Grand Slam tennis star? I'm like, oh yeah. So don't put anybody on a pedestal. That's another rule that I talk about in my book. But Dwayne Casey, I grilled him about Cuban. Cuban's not one of my favorite guys. He's no Kevin O'Leary, put it that way. He's not one of my favorite sharks, but nonetheless, I want to learn, right? Because the guy's a winner. Guy's a winner, right? So he told me about working for Cuban. And these are the things when you meet people like that. Instead of saying, oh, I'd like a picture and I'd like your autograph, I'm like, answer my question. Like, Casey was so awesome. He wouldn't leave, right? He wouldn't leave. It was so awesome. I'm like, Dwayne, tell me about working for Mark Cuban in Dallas. He goes, Michael, insane. He goes, insane. He goes, I'm in the weight room at 5:30 in the morning. He goes, Cuban's in there lifting at 5 every day at the Dallas facility whenever they're in town. He goes, I can't beat him to the stadium. He goes, you know, I'm there at 5:30. He's there at 5. The owner of the team. He goes, he lifts like pro athletes. Like, he's in there. He's not like doing a little bit on the treadmill. This guy is lifting fucking weight. And he's like in there at 5 in the morning, and then he's asking about the team, and he says, work ethic. He said he puts in, if the coaches put in 12-hour days, Cuban's around there for 14. And he said, everything is the best. Everything screams excellence. He goes, we have our own jet. This is at the time, this is back 15 years ago, right? When teams were still going charter. He says, we have our own jet. And then they talked about how Cuban, when he bought that Mavericks team, they were the worst too. They were like the Raptors, how he changed everything in the locker room. They talked about how he changed the towels, the seats in the locker room, the fresh air, the sunshine, the logo, the merchandise, like the entire culture had to be scrapped. And he was talking about it. And he was just telling, good morning, telling story after story about this guy, like excellence. He goes, Michael, we have the best meals. He said, we have the best sleep schedule. He said, we have the best hotels. And you would think at the NBA level, but not true. Not true. Like everything, any edge, anything to get an edge, because he's trying to win a championship at that time. Like Cuban wants to shove it up everybody's ass, right? But he said excellence personified. Everything he said, from the plane to the hotels to how we sleep, how we eat. He had mental coaches at the time. This is 15, 20 years ago. He goes, we have psychologists. He says, we have therapists. We have cold ice baths. He goes, anything and everything. And I was like, there you go right there. Winners aren't losers, and losers aren't winners. So I love talking to Casey about that. He was like, Michael, and then I came to Toronto. And I'm like, he goes, what did I say to myself? I said, he always asked himself when he got to Toronto and he was turning it around. He was like, what would Mark Cuban do? What would Mark Cuban do? Well, Mark Cuban would get new towels. Mark Cuban would put a big boulder in the middle of the room. Mark Cuban would insist that everybody pound the rock until they're a playoff team. Mark Cuban would insist everybody pound the rock until they put a championship ring on their finger, which the Raptors did in 2019. So I got something that it's a fan favorite coming up this April, my newsletter, Michael McLean World Building, right? So it's my Michael McLean rules. They're badass world building rules, but I call them my Michael McLean rules. I got 25 of them in my book, right? My book is 25 rules. Rules I've used in my life and in my business to live life and do business on my own terms, to sell 55 million in products and services. And they're principles and maxims that I've learned through the years. Pro sport, amateur sport, entrepreneurship, you name it. And I love writing about rules. So this April, and I only do this once or twice a year, but I'm writing a rules edition. Brand new rules. I haven't written about these, but I'm gonna write my top 10 new rules. My Michael McLean top 10 new rules. And I'm gonna add them on. There's 25 in the book. So I'm gonna write in my next newsletter, April, my 10 new rules. And these things are everything from marketing, money, advertising, mental toughness, winning, marriage, mental health, relationships, you name it. My Michael McLean rules. And they're like nothing, of course, that you would see anywhere else or hear anywhere else. But I do it once a year, and it's coming up this April. I'm just finishing up the newsletter. If you're not a member of my new newsletter brotherhood, do it today. Sign up at badassletter.com. Badassletter.com. And I'll throw in one of these badass t-shirts for free. I'll throw this $60. So it's only $97 for a month. And I ship it to your home or office. It's a physical paper newsletter, 22 pages. But this month is my Michael McLean rules. My Michael McLean badass world building rules. And oh man, it's a fan favorite. Haven't done it in good morning. Haven't done it in a few years. And really something that the guys like. So what I'm going to do is I think it's 10. I think there's going to be 10 of them that I'm going to do. So that's what I'll be doing. So badassletter.com. There's never been a better time to sign up if you haven't. And you get the free t-shirt with it as well. And these are just ideas that I use in my life, kind of non-negotiable principles that make all the difference. So that's what I'm up to in April. Michael McLean Rules Edition. Badassletter.com. It's only $97 a month. Cancel at any time if you don't like it. That's $3.24 a day. That's $3.24 a day. Even a bum on the street, even a hobo can afford that. So don't say it's not, it's about money. $3.24 a day for your Michael McLean rules. And I'll ship that to you in April. Badassnewsletter.com. I'm only going to open up immigration to the newsletter brotherhood for the next few days. So if you don't jump on this, I'm going to close immigration by the end of this week. So I only open the doors each month to immigration. I'm not like Creepy Joe, who doesn't have an immigration policy. I do have a walled society. I do have immigration policies and hard deadlines. And one of them will be coming up in a handful of days. So if you want to sign up for my newsletter rules edition, do it now. Badassletter.com. If you hate online shopping like I do, email Leanne. Her email is below. Leanne, badassmillionaire.com, and she'll help you out as well. That's it. The Michael McLean Rules Edition is coming soon. And in the meantime, pound the rock. Pound the rock. The great badass Dwayne Casey. Man, he was so happy when we won the Barclay Cup in 19. He was a little bit pissed, right? He gets fired the year before, and the Raptors win the World Championship. And he got the big job in Detroit. So, I mean, nobody's crying over Dwayne Casey. But man, oh man, he was so happy when I told him that we won a ring in Perth. He was like, pound the rock, brother, pound the rock. Like, who remembers that? He does. Such an incredible person, such a hard ass, so demanding. But you don't want to let a guy like that down, right? He's got that magic where you hate him, you love him some days, but you just don't want to let him down. You don't want to let him down. But I keep saying, I said, it's not my fault you couldn't beat Cuban to the gym. It's not my fault you couldn't beat Cuban to the gym. I said he outworked you. And Dwayne hates that stuff, right? Competitive. I'm like, I said, the owner outworked you. The owner outworked you. You can just see the steam coming out of his ears. And I said, but thanks for the ring in Perth. Pound the rock. Pound the rock. That's it for today. 2 words that changed my life and 2 words that can change your life. Pound that rock. Be relentless.